It's green for go. They're racing.
He says go.
He says Trotter.
And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn.
Here comes another big boil over.
Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more.
This is in one race. The rest are almost in another post.
She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that?
It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome back to the Menangle Angle. My name's Jessica Watkins and joining me is Club Menangle's General Manager of Racing Operations, David Wonson. Well, Wono, today is our final show before we take about a month's winter recess, so let's make it a good one.
Yes, someone's very lucky. They're going over to the Elite Lop. They're going to take some R&R after they've been to the Elite Lop. I'm not sure who that is, but it's one of us two, Jess, and I can tell you it's not me. And we might even, if we can arrange it, we might even try and get a live cross when you're at Savala there. To yours truly, might be 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just might be getting home from wherever I've been. So I'm sure I'll be in a good mood to take that. But if we can do that, and we'll try and get some live coverage up there for all our listeners and viewers, that'd be fantastic. But it's going to be a great month for you, Jess.
It is. I'm very, very excited to be heading across to the Elite Lop and very grateful for the opportunity that yourself, Amy, and Bruce Christensen and all the team here at Club Menangle are providing me with. So make sure you stay tuned to the Club Menangle socials, and we might be doing that live cross or I might be doing that live cross from Salvala. You'll be back here at Menangle.
I'll be in Fig Tree.
A very busy show coming up, Wono. We're going to be catching up with Freddie Hastings. We'll chat with him about the Group 1 racing that was last Saturday night. We'll also take a look at our card with him this Saturday that features the TAB Metropolitan Regional Championships final and the Group 1 Trotters Derby. So an action-packed edition coming up with Freddie. And our other special guest on the show is also trainer and driver John Ogden, who has San Juan Mountain engaged in the New South Wales Trotters Derby. So a lot to get through. Let's get stuck straight into it. It was a massive night of racing last Saturday night here. Of course, 4 Group 1s, the Group 3 Pink Bonnet as well, the Lady Drivers Invitational, all made up what was a fantastic card of racing at Coutts pacing for Pink. But do you have a highlight, the best thing you saw this week?
Oh, look, it was just elite racing. I've just got to say the actual racing itself, irrespective of who won the races, the racing was just elite. You know, I think I've mentioned it before. 4 of those 5 feature races were all race records. They were just running unbelievable times, these fillies and mares. Even the support program, they were running 50s all night. It was just so good to see. And the best part with this track is when everyone's doing their best down the home straight, there's no hard luck stories here at Menangle. And that's how it was. You know, outside, there was some really exceptional runs that may have not got the win, but they all had their chance, and the racing was just spectacular.
And for me, the best thing I saw this week, you've covered off the racing there. I'll go with the off-track festivities that were around the course on Saturday night. We saw a completely sold-out level 2 for the A Pink Affair charity dinner. Casey Delacroix retired. Tennis Star was hosting that. She did an incredible job. I know that she spoke to Freddie Hastings throughout the night to get some tips from him, and she also caught up with Ashley DeLosa as well. And we met Alicia McLaren, who's a McGrath breast care nurse, and she spoke about the important work that their charity does and just where the money that we're raising here for the McGrath Foundation throughout the month of May for Pacing for Pink, what it goes to support. So it was a sea of pink right across the track, and it was just great to see everyone out enjoying themselves here at Club Menangle.
You know, we have another listener now. We have another fan, Casey Delacroix. She's listened to a few of the shows, the podcast.
She has.
Just to do a little bit of homework, and she said, yeah, it was really good. She goes, Wono, you're fantastic, and Jess, you're pretty good too.
And wow. Just going to go straight into the next segment for that. I think my heart's still hurting from that comment, and I guess that ties in well to my sectional star here because I'm going with no heartthrob from race 3 here last week. He made a break in the score up, so he was out of position at the start, but he lined up there in the race that was taken out by the Narcissus. It was race 3 on the card, and no heartthrob, he actually recorded the quickest last half of the race. He went a 53.9 half, and he also had the quickest final 2 quarters of the race in 27.7 and 26.1. So I definitely think he's knocking on the door to be in the winner's circle next time he heads around.
Yeah, he did make that bit of a mistake, didn't he? Outstanding run, because that Narcissus, he looks like a very, very good animal. So, yeah, it was an amazing run, no heartthrob. Keep your eye on that, people.
Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Our very first special guest on today's The Menangle Angle, he's our closest friend of the show, I think it's fair to say. Freddie Hastings, how are you?
Hello, Jess. Hello, Wono. Yeah, we go back a fair way, back in the old days of doing podcasts together, us three. And, I love getting the invite every so often to appear on the Menangle Angle.
It's great to have you join us when we give you that special call up. And we thought we'd give you a call today to have a little review of the Group 1 features from last Saturday night at Coutts Pacing for Pink. I know you were a massive fan of the change when Ladies' Night got moved to its own marquee meeting. And didn't the racing impress last Saturday night?
Oh, look, it was outstanding. Right from the start of the night, right through there, we had the ladies' invitational race as well. That was a terrific race won by Kate Gaff with Franco Tyson. It was a really good drive, I thought. But then we got into the races like the Pink Bonnet, Quattro Moth, Outstanding Prospect, and then it was 4 Group 1s, and it doesn't get much better than that. And some of the horseflesh we saw not only compete, but be at the top of the tree in those Group 1s. There's some outstanding horses, and the future's bright.
Yeah, look, there was 4 Group 1s and the Pink Bonnet, like a Group 2 event there. There was 4 race records set in those 5 races. Just amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, the Pink Bonnet, that was a race record. The New South Wales Oaks was a race record. The Trotters Oaks was a race record. I Keep Smiling is outstanding, 149, but Our Dream About Me's got that record at about a 47. And then that last race, that amazing, the MacArthur Mile, the second fastest time ever, which was another race record. Susan is a name, getting the best of Kiyang Sahara.
Yeah, well, there was expectation that Susan is a name would be the testing material for Kiyang Sahara, going for 16 on the trot, Kiyang Sahara, and the race set up perfectly when Mark Pitt got in behind Kiyang Sahara. And they had a great battle. And I guess the expectation is that Kiyang Sahara would have been able to hang on, but Susan is her name. She's a quality trotting mare in her own right. And as you say, Wono, the second fastest trotting mile posted at the track, just 1/10 outside. We're talking some very, very serious square gators. And they're going to clash. There's going to be some great clashes coming up with that pair in years to come.
And Freddie, that was an incredible call up the straight as well. I think it was pretty iconic, to be fair.
Oh, it's very kind. It's funny, Jess. You see these good horses, and you just you have no preconceived. Well, firstly, you have no necessarily a preconceived idea how the race will play out. But when it plays out like that, it's very easy to get wrapped up and involved. And I don't have any preconceived notion of what's going to come out of the mouth. That just came out, and I was stunned. I was genuinely shocked, but had to put in that the mare that beat her, Susan is her name, beat Kiyang Sahara fairly and squarely. It was a great race, and it was nice to be part of some exciting racing, or an exciting race like that one.
Our other Group 1 for the Square Gators was the New South Wales Trotters Oaks, where we saw Gatesy's Gem for Glenn Hunter and Luke McCarthy take the spoils in that. And doesn't she look an impressive filly? And she's set to line up in the Derby on Saturday night as well.
she's looking to do a Kiyang Sahara and win the Oaks Derby double. And look, she's drawn out, which is a little unfortunate, but her win in the Oaks was brilliant. It was just one of those Luke McCarthy gems. Look, probably you could argue his best drive in the Group 1s was in defeat on Soho Americano, and we'll touch on that soon. But he produced a great drive on Gatesy's Gem to have Gatesy's Gem doing what she needed to do. And then Tracy the Jet, it just would have been one of those, I guess, fairy tale moments if Tracy the Jet could overhaul and catch Gatesy's Gem. Tracy the Jet, trained, of course, by Jess Tubbs. And Grant Dixon had the drive, and I know he was chuffed to be driving Tracy the Jet in that race. But Gatesy's Gem, I think she's got some upside. Can she beat the boys? Yeah, look, I think she's good enough on Saturday. The draw just makes it that little bit tricky in the Derby on Saturday night.
Mate, and there probably wasn't, but if there was any doubters before the Queen Elizabeth, there's no doubt now I Keep Smiling's the best mare in Australasia. Her win in that race, sitting parked and working that first 600, she was 3 deep while they were running, and then getting to the chair and still going 49. Just an amazing run. Yeah, she's the best mare in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, look, you think it, I think it, I'm sure Jess thinks it, but you know what, I guess the greatest tribute to her talent is that post-race, Luke McCarthy, who sat behind some of the best, both, boys and girls, he actually said, she is the best mare I've ever driven. And when you consider the horse flesh he sat behind, that's a great tribute to her. As you say, the first 600, she was out 3 deep and working. They went a 27 first quarter, and she was just getting to the chair at about the 1,000 or thereabouts. The second quarter was 27.9. So they'd gone 54.9 in that first half, and she had to work 3 deep and parked. Was still parked to the third quarter marker at 27.1, took over the lead as they swung in for home and got home in 27.3, holding off Steno. Now, Steno was sensational, beaten, about half a head. Terrific run, Steno. Take nothing away from I Keep Smiling to make the ground Steno did in the times they were running. But when you consider and factor in what I Keep Smiling had to do to be where she was, and still in the lead, and staving off a late challenge from Steno, she really did stamp herself as just, in my mind, without doubt, and as you say quite rightly, Wono, the best mare in Australia, Australasia. But the greatest compliment has to come from the driver trainer Luke McCarthy, who said she is the best mare he's ever sat behind, and that's good enough for me.
In the New South Wales Oaks final, then we saw the Grant Dixon trained and driven Cool and Classy take honours, and Cool and Classy by name, and doesn't she look like Cool and Classy by nature as well, Freddie?
Yeah, she's pretty special. Look, I've got to pay tribute to the Quinella horses, Cool and Classy and Soho Americano. The drives of Luke McCarthy and Grant Dixon, they were what stamped them as the top 2 in the race. We saw Cool and Classy back in the field early doors. Luke was on the pegs, and when the moves came, Luke got off the inside. He wasn't going to risk a pocket, and he came off the inside. And then Cool and Classy then followed around and was put into the race by Grant and kind of controlled the race outside them. And when you consider they fought it out, those 2 runs were both very good. They're both quality fillies, but I certainly pay tribute to the drives. Luke's drive in defeat was sensational, and Grant Dixon just summed up the race when he had to make his move, and deservedly, and that's taking nothing away from the filly. She's very good, Cool and Classy, always has been, but the drive was spectacular in my opinion.
Yeah, and I like how I had her as my value bet of the night in the race book too at about $8. I mentioned to a few people about that, but no one listens to me. But that's okay. I'm used to that.
No one will pump up your tyres. You may as well pump them up yourself, Wono.
Well, we need someone with a trumpet and loan it to Wono to blow his own trumpet Yeah, well, not a trump. We don't need a trump. We need a trumpet. You can be the trumpet of Patriot.
I was about to say
something.
he's got too many text messages recently.
That's right. But we need a trumpeter. And when Wono tips an $8 winner like that, we need someone to blow the horn, blow the trumpet on track, and that means Wono strikes again.
Oh, mate, I'm out there. I'm throwing the hand up with the finger pointed.
There you go. We need to find him a trumpet, Jess.
I'm out there. Don't worry. I let everyone know. It doesn't go amiss.
No, you should. It's a pretty fair effort. I mean, tipping winners at that price. It's hard enough tipping winners when sometimes they're in the red and you think they will win. But they to find one at those odds in a Group 1. Well done, mate. Good job.
Mate, we go to this Saturday, the Metropolitan Tab Regional Championship final here for 100,000. By the time this race is run, the other finals will have been run. Then we go to the state final next week. Have you found one that we're talking about shorties, have you found one that stands out for you in this race?
In this race, I'm going to actually go... Look, Horn Player is the nominal favourite for the race and did everything right in its heat a couple of Tuesdays ago. But I have always been a Vite Monet fan. Now, Vite Monet is going to need some Cameron Hart magic to get off the inside in this big field.
He can produce it, though, Cameron.
Well, of course he can. He is a stunning driver. So I'm going to put my faith in Cam. I think Vite Monet, very, very nice horse, has often flown under the radar, maybe been a little underrated. It's only fairly lightly raced, boasts a 5-win at the track record at Menangle, and is unbeaten at the trip. So I'm going to stick with Vite Monet, yeah.
$3.50, and who knows, it's been a little bit easy. Might get out and be each way value there.
Well, historically, they do back up. They do punt up on a few of the other runners too in these races. So yeah, you might get decent odds, Vite Monet, better than the current. But I think it can win the race. It's actually a really good race, Wono, I thought, this year's edition.
Yeah, very, very even. Well, the Horn Play, the favourite. Irony with that is that last year Brad Hewitt drove Extreme C for his dad. This year,
roles reverse.
Yeah, Brad Hewitt trains and Dad's driving for him in the final. So, and this 8-4 just changes the racing pattern up a little bit as well. You see a few more moves in it, don't you?
Well, you do, because what happens is when they let them go, you got the 4 pushing up, and that's keeping horses 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, if they don't show sufficient speed, they're out there in no man's land in the early stages. And over the longer trip, that can be quite telling. I understand the concept of it, but it definitely changes the normal pattern of racing, having those horses drawn on the back row, because they, especially 9, 10, if the inside ones can get away, and if the 11 and the 12, they're following through in the middle, they can keep those outside horses really working, and they often end up in decent spots. It's a real game changer for the makeup of the race, the way it plays out. So that in itself is a little element that has to be factored in when trying to assess form for the finals, both the Metropolitan, the Consolation, and then of course next week's State.
The Group 1 New South Wales Trotters Derby takes centre stage after the Metropolitan Regional Championship final. And Freddie, there are 7 Victorian representatives here, including the Emergency making the trip up from the south. Do you see one of the Victorian runners taking the prize, or can our New South Wales Trotters claim glory?
I think on the balance of probability, the Victorians hold the numbers, and they've got a horse like Philly Gates's Gem. Enchant Feur's been very good, and Claudie's Hero back from a break. But I tell you, if there's a local hope, and this might be a shock, if there's a local hope that might just upset the apple cart, San Juan Mountain, hasn't it improved this campaign?
$11.
It's just really become a professional racehorse, and I'm not saying it can beat the likes of Gates's Gem and the like, but it's got a good enough form, and its manners are generally exemplary right from its early days of racing as a young horse. I think you'll do a lot worse than have something both totes on San Juan Mountain. No, I'm not entirely convinced at this point it can win the Derby, but it'll certainly give you a good sight. So worth at the odds, Wono, I think having a dabble.
Yeah, and sometimes, isn't it funny, some of these horses get a set against them, they never seem to be favourite. And he's one of those horses, like he's just been starting at odds in the foundation heats as well, even though he's had the good form in him. And once again, like, I don't know, he's won 3 of his last 4 and he's $11. But, yeah, I don't mind a little each-way dabble at the San Juan Mountain. Like you said, his last run was really good.
We'll also be catching up with John Ogden later on in the show. So hopefully we'll be able to get the inside word from him about San Juan Mountain.
But don't tell him I tipped him big because he'll think I'm a jinx. But but I just think he's really, and I'm sure you'll press John on this question. The manners, the horse just seems to have exemplary manners and just has become a very professional little racehorse. This term, this campaign, and I just think obviously Gatesy's Gems, the testing material. Miss Ahana ran an okay race the other night as well. We've seen Ezra Kai around Menangle. We know Lotus Louise and Jackie's Gift. So there's some nice horses in the race. But I just think at the odds, for me, I'll be having something on San Juan Mountain.
Well, don't worry, you haven't put the pressure on him. I was on the morning line this morning with Lewis and BK, and the hearts to beat. I put in San Juan Mountain at $11. So if he's got someone to blame, I'm sure he'd be aiming up on me.
I'll send him your way.
Yeah, JBO. He'll be aiming up on me.
He's a good man, John, and I'm sure he won't be like that at all. I think he'd be just chuffed. He's got a horse going that well that it's being talked about in Derby circles because there's been a bit to like about the way the horse has returned this campaign.
And Fred, if we can get you to say who your best is, who would it be?
Race 9, number 8? No, sorry.
Race 9, number 8. She was very unlucky the other night, Maria Alagonda. It just could not get a crack at them, but we'll skip over that. Look, we all know my love for Max Delight. I know he's $1.85, and I'm generally not someone who tries to tip odds on horses, but I think in the past,
$1.85.
$1.85 on tab, and I just think in the Bill Green free for all, he's up against me old mate Pete Said So and a few other nice horses, but I think Max Delight at $1.85 should anchor most legs of the quite incredible. I'm with Max Delight.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I didn't know he was $1.85. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, so that's my best. I'm going to stick with him.
I think he's best value on the night at $1.85, let alone the best bet. Wow, God, that's good odds.
Well, we're talking about a horse that's a multiple Group 1 winner. He's in peak form. Hasn't he, since Akey's been, in Sydney, hasn't Max Delight seemingly at Menangle gone to, he's always raced good there, but now that it's, effectively his home base, isn't he racing well there?
Yeah, I think he had that one forgivable run there 2 starts ago. And, he still come third. And we were saying that just wasn't the real Max, but he certainly made amends last start.
He did. And at 2,300, that's his pet distance. Look out.
Freddie, it's great to have had you on the Menangle Angle today. Thank you so much for joining us to chat about Coutts pacing for Pink Night and then look ahead to this Saturday night's racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and well done to the club. I've got to give the club a rap for what they do on that night. They had a big function with Casey Delacqua emceeing it. The room was chockers. The room was fully sold out, and just all the work that goes on behind the scenes. I know you're part of that team, Jess, but there's so much that goes on to make that night a success. And and the club should take a bow and be very proud of what they're doing. Supporting such a worthy cause.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
All the best. Good luck.
See you, bud.
Our next guest on today's edition of the Menangle Angle is John Ogden. John will line up San Juan Mountain in this Saturday night's Group 1 New South Wales Trotters Derby. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm going very good, thanks. Yes, yourself?
Good, thank you. It's great to have you here on the Menangle Angle, and Wono is also here with us.
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
Going good, mate. Going good.
JBO. Been calling him JBO for 20 years, I have, Jess.
Yeah, he has.
There's a story behind that. When I first started at Harold Park, I think it was in my first 24 hours of starting at Harold Park, John said you can do all the checks, prize money checks. So we tried to get them out like a lot quicker than once upon a time Harold Park was used to. And it come up, they used to have initials for all the trainers and drivers. And John's used to come up JBO. Mm-hmm. At first I'm like, JBO, who's JBO? And then worked out, So, from that time on, I've always called him JBO.
JBO and
Always
your
called
nickname.
JBO.
There we go. We might have to share that one with Freddie as
What
well.
is your middle name, actually?
Yep.
What is your
Yep.
middle
No
name?
one knows. Benjamin. Benjamin's middle name.
Okay.
John Benjamin Ogden.
John Benjamin Ogden, named after my pop. So, yep. Got laughed at a bit at school when I was a kid, but it's all good. It's actually my nickname at school. They used to, a couple of kids used to call me Benji at school. When I played football, the
Wow.
few of them used to call me Benji, which I wasn't real keen on, but I thought I was better than being called something else.
Oh, there's plenty of other names. I was called plenty of names. But did you have a sidestep similar? Was the sidestep as good as Benji's?
I played AFL. So yeah, I was pretty quick. My speed wasn't bad, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. We just it got the point in when I played that you didn't even know. You never called anyone by their first name. No one was called by their name. It was always a nickname. I remember coming across a guy that I'd played with for 5 years, and I didn't know his full name. I just knew his nickname, and I tried to introduce him to my wife, and to Amanda, and I'm introducing this guy as his nickname, and I forget what his nickname even was, but it was something odd. But that's just the way it wasn't.
This is Donkey.
It was something like that. And I known the guy for years, and I couldn't. I sort of knew what his front name was, but when I was on the spot, I just couldn't remember. All I knew was his nickname. And I think everyone was the same as me. They were sort of Benji. God, where do you get Benji from? You know.
Yeah, it's funny.
Anyway,
funny things to remember.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
Well, Johnny, you have San Juan Mountain heading into the Group 1 this Saturday night. As I mentioned, he has been in a very rich vein of form this season. He's won 3 from 4 starts. How is he heading into Saturday?
He's heading in really good. I'm really happy with him at the moment. He's had a really good prep this term, and his form his racing's improving. I'm pretty happy with him. I couldn't be happy with him heading into Saturday night, to be honest.
He's won a few of the foundation heats. But
yeah.
I think I was most impressed with what was most impressive with his last run, and correct me if I'm wrong here, he's worked out of the gate. He's about 10 lengths in front, you two were 10 lengths in front of the field. So he done all that early burn, still kept running, and when he pulled out at the top of the straight, he ran away from him.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that run. Early day, because he possesses pretty good gate speed, and he took a while to settle, and it sort of worried me a bit. I looked over and we went a 49 lead time, which is pretty sort of quick going for the Trotters, and I was a bit worried. And when he surrendered the lead and he did relax, and I probably came out a bit earlier than I should. I think I had Lotus Louise on my outside, and so he sort of flushed me out. But I was pretty impressed when he pulled away with sort of 3:54 to go. I was pretty happy with him. And I thought he's starting to sort of come along and put it all together and become a sort of a nice little racehorse, you know.
Mate, that was it was a super impressive win because they weren't slow horses that he actually got away from at the end either.
No.
Horses.
Yes, yeah, they were, especially Louise. Like he's been racing in. I sort of feel sorry for him when he sort of came as a 2-year-old, and he always had a classy horse as opposition. Like he's always racing against Louise, and they've had some pretty good tussles. And Dennis had a nice trot at the time too. So he was always racing pretty tough opposition, you know. Like, and even as the early 2-year-old season, he probably didn't start couple of starts into the foundation series, but every race as even a 2-year-old was sub 2 minutes.
Yeah, they were flying last year. It was a good crop of 2-year-olds, wasn't it? Here?
Good crop of 2-year-olds and
Lotus.
Yeah, Rainbow Jester, and he chased down a couple of them. Like he chased Rainbow Jester in the Breeders' Final and stuff, and got close sort of stuff. But he's one of those little, just good constitution. He just improves with training, improves with racing. He just when he races, it doesn't take him very long to get over his race, and starts always eating well. So he's just one of those little types that sort of just, he just improves the more we sort of go with him.
He's come up with barrier 7 on Saturday. He'll move into barrier 6 should the first emergency not be required. What was your reaction when you saw the fields come out?
It's not. I would love to have been a little bit closer. You know, like I'd love to have come into, say, you know, barrier 4 or something. You probably don't want one in a field like that unless you feel you can really. But I would love to come a bit closer. But in saying that, there's some good horses that I think the toughest horse in the race is probably Gatesy's, and she's a super. Her run of the Oaks last week was super impressive. But she's drawn out wide, but there's still some speed inside him. So you know, it's just one of those things. Like you can't sort of get too worried about with gate draws, because especially over 23, anything can happen in these sort of, especially the 3-year-old trot races.
Oh, the trot race, yeah, you got to, and just knowing, and Johnny, you'll know this, having a family background in it, you got to have Plan A and Plan B and Plan C in the trot races, especially the juvenile trot races.
Plan A, Plan B, and then sometimes by the time you get to Plan C, I've forgotten what Plan C even was. So.
You don't worry about the first two. You go, okay, let's just go with this. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about barrier draws. Lotus Louise is generally drawn out a bit wider, so he's got a bit of a better barrier there this week. So he may try to use some of his gate speed if he thinks he's got some there. Just going through that field and having a look at the odds, he's come up, he's $11, so he's still over the odds of the horses that he's been beating at the moment. I know the number one's got him from $34 to $11. It's an emergency. So that's an amazing thing. The two Victorians, like Commodus and Chauffeur, last year were really, really strong, winning Group 1s and racing in really good races. Look, those two horses have come back. They haven't won. Like, they're both maidens this season. I know they've got a little bit better. Would it be fair to say, though, Ezra Kai is a Victorian, but he did race up here in that race. It's really hard to go past that other than Gatesy's Gem, because she went 157 last week.
Very impressive last Saturday.
It was a race record, but she's drawn a bit wider. You got Luke McCarthy. He does drive pretty good, Luke. He's not a bad driver.
Luke's the coolest driver. He's the coolest driver I've ever come across, Luke. Sometimes I wonder if he's got a heartbeat. You know, he's that cool out there.
He is, isn't he? No, so it's interesting that the fillies, and sometimes the fillies in these races, we talk about the colts and fillies being separated, but in the trotters, there's probably not that big a differentiation between the juvenile trotters with the colts and the fillies. The fillies can actually handle themselves a lot better against the colts in the trotters. They have to a little bit as well, because there's not as many opportunities, but they just seem to be able to handle themselves a little bit better, don't they?
Yeah, I still say, like, the two of the best horses I ever drove were fillies, and you can give me a tough filly over a fast gelding any day, you know. And there's some form in this race. Like, I try not to look at it too much because I'm going to psych myself out of it. But you know, like the filly, like her run last week, 57 was flying. She is super fast. And the more I look at this race, especially in 23, there's some good horses drawn out wide. I can see it maybe becoming a bit of a swoopers race. You know, it's hard to see. It's hard to see how it's going to really sort of pan out. I try to play a couple of starts in my head. I mean, my bloke, I probably won't have a lot of say at the start anyway, because he comes out under his own steam. You know, but that's a trouble. Like they're all good drivers and they're good horses. Is probably 90% of the horses in this field, they're all going to think they've got a good chance.
Yeah, it's a really open field, and the markets
it's a really
say that as well. Mate, you mentioned earlier, Sorry, go.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, no, you're right.
Mate, you mentioned earlier you've been associated with some nice horses, but more so some really, really outstanding mares. Three Pence was one of those. A couple of feature races at Harold Park. Lizzie was training it at the time. And there's another one that we actually name a series after. He's a boy, though. Is the 2-year-old series we have later in the year. It's called the Arizona Blue. You had a lot of fun with Arizona Blue as well.
She was a mighty mare. She was probably and I didn't probably realise how good she was at the time, but she was a mighty mare. She dominated in the 3-year-old Foundation Series up here, and she went off to Melbourne, and She won the Victorian Oaks and placed in the Breeders' Crown, and she blotted a copybook in the Oaks. She probably should have won that as well, but she was super special Arizona.
Yeah. Well, we've got a race series named after her. So those late season 2-year-olds we've had here for the last couple of years, which San Juan would have come through. So
it's a funny thing because that was he ran second in the Arizona Blue final, and I would have loved to have won it. I dreamt about winning it, and about 10 metres from the line, I thought I had, and Lotus Louise sport the party, but
it was a good clash. I remember that.
It was a good clash, and he was probably he let up, and he went super good. He went 57, and Louise just had that bit of class. About him in the 2-year-old series. But I thought, never mind. I thought he's bound to win a nice race one day.
Well, it'd be a nice one, this one, to get a revenge victory over, wouldn't it? The New South Wales Trotters Derby, 75,000. It'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful to win, but I've got to look at reality. There's a lot of good horse in the race. And, like he'll be trying. He'll put his whole heart into it, but he's going to be. It'll probably. I got to look at it. It's going to be pretty tough for him.
And Johnny, how did you come to be involved in harness racing?
Well, I married in the family. So I married John's second oldest daughter, Amanda, and I just showed interest early days, and eventually ended up working for Johnny full time, and got my driver's license a bit late. I was in my early 20s. I didn't get my driver's license in my teens. I was in my early 20s when I got my driver's, and sort of just fell in love with the sport from there.
Wow! So you married into harness racing. You weren't born like me and Jess. Like we had no other option, but because we're born into it, Our first presents as kids were shovels to go and do the stables, but mate, you've married, and you kept on the good side. You got on the good side of the in-laws.
That's it. Hey, I kept on the good side, and I like to think I'm one of the only blokes where his sister-in-law actually likes him and talks to him. So
Lizzie likes everyone.
She does.
She does like it. She does.
Brightest smile.
Oh,
she likes
some great
everyone,
stories about Lizzie and like when and my brother and that. They used to get up to some shenanigans. There too.
No, I'm great friends. So Lizzie and I, she's probably one of my closest friends, to be quite honest. So, a lot of people at the races to this day even think Lizzie and I are married or something. You know what I mean? Because they never see Amanda. All they see is
You're too happy.
Yeah,
you can't be married.
No, that's it. I can work with Liz, and I'm married to her sister, so it actually works out to be a pretty good combo, really.
And whereabouts is your stable based at the moment, and how many horses do you have in work at any one time?
I'm at Mulgoa, so we've been here at Mulgoa for the last 20 years, and I've only got about 4 here at the moment, and I've got my own little dog track, and I've got a float. I've got a float to work to do track work, but I used to. Heaths were only 20 minutes down the road, and I sort of worked there and did all my most work there, and they've since moved to Berrima on a property down there. So I don't know. Coming up next couple of years, we may head down that way. We'll just see what happens. We're only about 5 minutes from the airport, so things are starting to get a little bit hectic around this area. Well, that's exactly right. It's starting to get a little bit hectic around here, so
true.
We may even head down that way in the next coming years. We don't know yet.
I know that your daughter, Cian, she's a very passionate harness racing participant. Will she be out here on Saturday night cheering you on?
Oh, yeah. She'll be ringing all the bells and whistles too. Don't worry about that. She'll be cheering. She's my biggest fan. She was there last Tuesday, one of his last races, and she was one very, very happy little strapper. So, yep, she'll be definitely there on Saturday night.
Well, hopefully we get to have a little bit of joy there on Saturday night, and we get you all out there with the family on Saturday night in the presentation area. I'm sure it'll be a very, very warm and heartfelt congratulations from everyone in the stables, because you have a lot of respect in there. A lot of people like you, mate. So I'm sure you have plenty of people cheering you home.
Thanks for that, David. Yeah, as I said, he'll be he'll be trying his hardest, and win, lose, or draw, we're going to give it a red hot crack.
John, thank you so much for joining us on the Menangle Angle, and we wish you and all the family the best of luck this Saturday night with San Juan Mountain in the New South Wales Trotters Derby. Thank
you very much. My pleasure.
Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. A 9-race card coming up from Club Menangle this Saturday night, where we see race 1 getting underway at 5:21pm, and the meeting, as I mentioned earlier on, is headlined by the TAB Regional Final, the Metropolitan region here. It's a listed classic event worth $100,000, and we also have the Success Stud New South Wales Trotters Derby to be run at Group 1 level, where we'll see those 3-year-old trotters take centre stage here. But off the track as well, it's going to be a very important night for our harness racing community, because we're going to be seeing a number of fundraising initiatives taking place on track here for the Lee and Locke families, who unfortunately, on their way back from the New South Wales Mini Trotting Championships over the Easter long weekend, were involved in a float fire that tragically took the lives of their 5 beautiful ponies. So Wono, I know that you've been in close contact with Steph Morris and Ashley Kelly from the Menangle Park Mini Trot Club, who have organised a number of initiatives where we're going to try and raise as many funds as we can for them. Can you tell us about what some of them are?
Yeah, look, we've got just such a tragic story. This week we've got 21 mini trotters going around in 4 different events. There's going to be a big barbecue out in the stable area. The club's supplying all the supplies for that. They've got a lot of prizes, so they're going to have a raffle, which includes vouchers here in the Miracle Mile restaurant and some harness racing product. It's all been kindly donated by a lot of people, including Garrards and, once again, the club. Yeah, it's such a tragic story. So if you can get out here Saturday night, or you intend being this way, please go and support the guys and the kids. They're all out there on Saturday night. As I said, there's 21 different ponies. They're coming from everywhere to support this initiative. And even if you can't, get onto that GoFundMe page, please, because, just such a tragic story. And everyone here in the Menangle community, the Menangle Mini Trot Club, really, really, really felt it.
Race 1 gets underway at 5:21pm. It's a Society 389 pace over the 2,300 metres for those horses with a national rating up to 95. And we see a really even field set to go around here. Craftman's Charlie, he's come up with barrier 7. He ran a really strong second here back on the 3rd of May. We also see Captain Belisario for Jane Davies and Chris Alford making the trip up from Victoria for this race. And Sia Art, he's one that I know I've been pushing for a little while, and he's utilising the 5-point claim of Declan Murphy here, so he gets a nice drop back in grade.
Yeah, he's got a lot of 4s, Sia Art there, hasn't he? He's drawn a little bit wide, but I know he was one of your sectional stars. There's probably 1 or 2 other sectional stars here, Jess. Once again, these 95s and these 80s are such open affairs. Such an open race. I don't mind Double Fear number 4. Robbie Morris takes the reins. He's got his foot on the till again.
Race 2 is the Alliance contracting pace over the 2,300 metres for those horses with a national rating up to 80. Franco Tyson, he's come up with barrier 4 here for Brian Portelli and Luke McCarthy, and we saw him last week take out the Lady Drivers Invitational race where Kate Gath was aboard, so that was a penalty-free event, so he's lining up in the same grade.
Yeah, amazing. Brian Portelli gets Kate Gath one week and gets Luke McCarthy the next. They're certainly doing the horses no disservice, are they? Fantastic at those calibre of these drivers. Vinky B out wide, he's won his last couple. I've always liked Vinky B, and fortunately for those owners, he's starting to actually really go nice and get a couple of wins there. But, it's hard to go against. Franco Tyson hit the line really strong last week. He's a big chance again.
Race 3's the Able Doors pace over the mile here, and we get to see a really nice field contest this race. Curly James for Courtney Laker and Chris Alford again here. He was a horse that started in ID 24 last year, and he went around really very short in the market there, so I think he definitely gets his chance to bounce back into winning ways in this event.
Yeah, look, I probably would have tipped number 7, Canina Provolima. It was a bit disappointing on Tuesday. I know he'll bounce back, and that's the sort of horse he is, but yeah, he's just a little bit disappointing. Probably District Attorney for me, number 8, Jason Grimson. I know he's only got that 9 beside his name, but Grimo can get him to bounce back, and yeah, that might be a nice race for him.
Race 4 is the Tab Regional Consolation, Metropolitan over the 2,300 metres. And it's really important to know that in these Tab Regional Championships races, there'll be a starting configuration of 8 horses off the front, 4 off the second line. And for me here, number 4, Outer Sierra, is the standout for Alistair Coutts and Will Rickson. He was away from the track since August 2023. He resumed in April this year, and since then he's had 5 starts for 3 wins, a second and a 6, and that stick 6 actually came in the heat for the series here. So I think he's one of the leading fancies.
Yeah, I don't mind Outer Sierra. Like, it's got Will Rickson. It's got a good barrier, the 2,300, really open race. El Camino, I would have tipped El Camino, but because I just like saying that nobody's scratched. So I'm going to follow you in Outer Sierra, Will Rickson.
Race 5 is the DRH Landscaping Bill Green Free-for-All over the 2,300 metres. $1 Million Max Delight. He's come up with barrier 1 here, as we spoke about with Freddie. He's currently $1.85 fixed odds favourite, and he looks like he has this race in his keeping.
$1.85 all day. Yeah, Max Delight.
Race 6 is the Tab Regional Final, Metropolitan Listed Classic, again over the 2,300 metres. $100,000 in prize money this race is worth here. And we saw through the heats that Horn Player took out the first heat. We also saw Mr. Blue Chip win another of the heats, and the other heat was taken out by Veet Monet for Chris Judd and Cameron Hart. And I know Freddie Hastings gave Veet Monet a big push. He's a horse that's consistently competed here at the top level since his 2-year-old season. Horn Player as well looked very impressive, winning his heat for Brad and David Hewitt, and Mr. Blue Chip has been in great form of late too.
Yeah, all 3 heat winners were good. I've tipped Horn Player, $2. Like, he looked really, really good for David and Brad. And if he gets to the top, he's going to be really hard to run down. But there's a lot to like about Veet Monet, and seems to have filled out in off-season. Like, he looks a really solid horse. So, if Cameron Hart need to pull off one of his good ones there, but Horn Player just from the barrier.
Race 7 is the Group 1 Success Stud New South Wales Trotters Derby to be run over the 2,300 metres, and an incredible field of square gators set to line up here. As I mentioned when we were speaking with Fred, there's 7 Victorians set to line up. That's including the emergency runner. So our New South Wales runners are definitely outnumbered in that respect. But Gatesy's Gem, she's come up with barrier 9 for Glenn Hunter and Luke McCarthy, a very dominant winner last week in the New South Wales Trotting Oaks. Also, we get to see San Juan Mountain. We spoke with Johnny Ogden earlier on in the show, and Lotus Louise has been a really consistent runner in great form for the Lucky Lodge team.
Yeah, I think San Juan Mountain will give you a really good run at the each way value, $11. I wouldn't be surprised if he started more than that, because you've got Commodus on chauffeur coming up from Victoria. They've got really good form. Ezra Kai, Lotus Louise. I do like Lotus Louise, but it always seems to get a bad barrier. It's got a good barrier this week. So, but San Juan Mountain at $11, I think it'll be a bit better than that, a bit each way there.
Race 8, the penultimate event on Saturday's card, is the Austin Landscaping Bulleye Trotters Cup over the 2,300 metres standing start. A field of 14 set to contest this event here, and a great field of trotters set to line up. Hanover de Moon, he's off the 10 metres there. We know how well he races here at Club Menangle. Michael Bellman has also made the trip up with Jazz Spur. Toro Stride for Anton Galino is off the 10 metres, resuming from a spell. And then off the 20 metre mark, we see Lungden to a brick and Constantinople. Wono, who's your top runner?
Oh, look, I'm going to stay with London to a brick, because it's 20 metres, and he needs a really good start, because that 20 metres, while it doesn't seem a lot on paper, if you don't begin well, you've got 13 horses in front of you, can all of a sudden become 30 or 40 metres very quickly. So big field, these handicaps are hard to overcome, but God, it's $4.40 the field. They've kept Hot to Trot at $4.40 as well, which is interesting. Off the front, like he's just coming through the grades at the moment. I'm sure we're going to find some value, but London to a brick, if he can get away, he's a quality trotter.
And the final event on Saturday's card is the My Property Consultants Ladyship Pace over the mile for those mares with a national rating up to 90. And I'm going to stick with Everard. I know I pushed her last week, but she's got a draw here, barrier 4. I think if she can settle in a forward position, she's a definite winning chance here.
Yeah, really, really tricky race to finish the program with. Like Bella Danza won at good odds. I know there's a few people that were pretty happy to get the $11 last week. She was supported. Maria Alagonda is a little bit unlucky with the 6. You know what? I'm just throwing this one in there. Number 6, Boulevard of Dreams, Luke McCarthy. I think he might finish it off with a win.
Gamble responsibly. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Wono, who's your best?
Best bet of the night at $1.85, Max Delight all day.
My best bet comes up in race 2, number 4, Franco Tyson. He looked very, very strong to the line last week when he took out that Lady Drivers Invitational. Luke McCarthy set to take the drive this week, and he gets to stay in the same grade because last week was a penalty-free race. So
it was too.
Sticking with Franco Tyson. Well, Wono, as I mentioned earlier on in the show, this is going to be our final show until we resume back on Thursday, the 19th of June. So make sure you keep up to date with the Club Menangle socials in the meantime, and we'll be covering that action from the Elite Lop on Club Menangle socials as well. So plenty of harness racing action still to come over the next month, and we'll join you again on Thursday, the 19th of June.
Jess, have a fantastic time over there in Sweden. I'm sure you're going to love it. It's going to be an experience you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Go the Locomotive. Imagine if he won. Like, how good will it be to be there if he was like to be in that final and saluting? It'd be fantastic. So enjoy that. Don't be afraid to maybe give me a call when you get there at the racetrack at Savala. And it doesn't matter what time it is here. As I said, like I might be getting home about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You can ring and just tell me how good it is, and I'm sure I'll enjoy that phone call.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us on this season of the Menangle Angle. It's been great to have you with us, and we'll catch you again in the middle of June.